We're going to take a look at the hot topics of the day with the help of Tom Swarbrick and Baroness Sayeeda Warsi. Good morning to both of you.
Hello.
Lovely to have you here in the studio.
Hello.
Tom, a little taken with Gillian Anderson.
Oh, my God, I can't believe it. Real life Gillian Anderson.
I know.
She's sat there.
She was sat there.
Well done, guys. You held it together so well. Absolute
Thank you.
I wonder if Gillian had any cash in her purse, though, Tom.
Why?
Because one of the main things we're talking about today is whether people should be forced to use cash, whether shops should be forced to accept cash as we go more and more towards a cashless society. Is there something about the fact that we need to be able to use cash that actually retail outlets should accept it regardless?
Absolutely. The trend in the last 10 years or so is that cash has diminished in use. Everyone's using their card or their phone, but actually the numbers in the last few years say that cash is making a little bit of a comeback, except you go into these shops and they say, we are card only, we are a cashless shop. I don't know, I've experienced this, but you go and pay for a coffee and you've got a fiver on you or whatever, and they say, no, we only take card. And you think, well, this is legal tender. I've got the means to pay for it. I'd like you to accept my £5 note, please, for my coffie, for whatever it is.
You can tell Tom's posh, can't you? Because he goes into shops where it says card only. I go into lots of shops which say cash only.
OK, we're going to have a posh off here with the Baroness.
So I wear it with pride.
Wear it with pride.
But I think that both options should be available because, you know, you can go into some places which say card only. You can actually go into some places which say cash only.
Tara says that. We run a small business. The card charges are ridiculous. We put signs up now asking for cash instead of card.
Yeah, if preferable, because obviously their profit margins go down. But I think both options should be available. But as an individual, and I was saying this to Tom, I always carry, you know, £20 in the card, £20 in your phone, £20 in your purse. You should always have that small amount of cash with you because you never know. And as we saw only a couple of days ago, when there could be a power outage and then you can't use your cards, you're going to need some legal tender, which is hard.
They're actually telling people, as part of what happened in Spain and Portugal, all the cyber attacks people are experiencing, that part of the way in which you keep yourself safe from these kinds of events happening more and more is you have a bit of cash in reserve. So people are being told, well, there's no use if you can't go and spend it.
No,
you're taking all cards.
This is quite a statistic. Cash was used for more than half of all payments in 2013, 51%. But this had fallen to just 12% in 2023.
£3 billion in cash transactions in 2011 to less than 1.5 billion in 2020. So, it's dropped off a cliff, unsurprisingly, because it's so easy of use. You've got it on your phone, you can tap and go, what have you. But for people who use cash as a means of budgeting, particularly in very straitened times, this is a really, actually quite useful resource that's not being used because people are saying, no, it seems very strange. People want autonomy.
Yeah, but also for some people, it is literally a lifeline. So there are people in, abusive and coercive relationships where you need to be able to have cash to be able to spend and buy things and get around, and you don't want all of that tracked. And then there are also things like, more nicer things, like if you want to buy your partner a present and you've got a shared account and you've got a shared credit card or a debit card, you don't want them to know what you've paid for and you've paid for it in advance. Cash works there.
Don't buy them a present.
Has a terrible time sometimes as well.
What does the tooth fairy do now?
She's spoken to me about it, and sometimes it's a bit of a nightmare.
Is that why you leave the card machine out if you lose it?
Listen, my boys would, believe you me. Let's talk WhatsApp groups. A recent tribunal has warned that WhatsApp group chats can blur the boundaries between the professional and private lives of employees. So should work WhatsApp groups be banned?
I think we have to draw a distinction between a WhatsApp group where workers who work together set it up voluntarily and a WhatsApp group that's a formal WhatsApp group set up by the employer, because employers should not be responsible for what happens in a WhatsApp group which is neither supported by them, set up by them or endorsed by them. Right. And I think that's where the legal distinction has got to come, because we're having this discussion because there was a case in which a number of people who worked at a day nursery were on a WhatsApp group and somebody had called somebody a name, and then there was a tribunal hearing, and it was whether or not the employer was responsible for the name calling that had gone on.
Can I say the name?
Do it.
Imagine the worst word you could think of in the English language.
Okay.
This woman was called Witchy Poo.
So
as you said, that's a term of endearment.
It is around these parts.
4 nursery teachers in the nursery group, and one of them called another one a witchy poo.
Yes.
And she was so offended because she felt it wasn't appropriate in a work WhatsApp group, she took this to tribunal. She tried to make this case in court.
And the
And
case
it was the
dismissed.
employer.
Yeah.
So it was the employer that was taken to tribunal.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
And that's the issue,
Sorry.
that actually, individually, you may say something which is offensive. And, you know, people say lots of things at work. But is this an official WhatsApp group? I mean, I'm quite cautious about WhatsApp groups. You know, there are some interesting parliamentary WhatsApp groups.
Aren't there,
aware
Jess?
of them.
A lot of
And
them
some
get leaked in
very,
newspapers.
exactly, and very
Ooh.
interesting things are said on them. So I think they're good to be on if you just want to creep and watch, but probably not post.
Creep and watch.
This linger in the WhatsApp group.
Oh,
This
the
is-
Baroness.
This is the digital version of the water cooler, though, isn't it? I mean, this is just the digitised version of office gossip, which happens all the time since God was a boy. Do you know what I mean? Like, at the Last Supper, they probably had a word about, oh, what's Judas doing? That happened all the time.
I think the idea these days that WhatsApp groups are going to stay private is, after what we've seen with all the leaks through COVID and all the issues through that, is naive. Certainly, whether it's a personal WhatsApp group, whether it's a work WhatsApp group.
It's just now you can prove it, can't you? Whereas before, you'd say something about someone they overheard and, oh, did you say that about me, whatever. Now, if it's written down, you've got a bit of a problem, which is why the disappearing messages are sometimes quite useful.
Yeah.
Which is what government, actually, a lot of people in politics do that. And I find that really weird.
What, with the disappearing messages?
Yeah, I mean...
Well, I
you
always
know,
think, what are you saying? That you can't kind of stand over it.
I get really annoyed when I go back to look at WhatsApp and it's gone. I'm like, oh, I can't even remember what the detail was. Why have I not turned this stupid thing off? That's because I'm so disorganised. That's the problem with the disappearing messages for me. Nothing to hide. Right, stay...
Bravo.
Look at him. Just born to entertain, isn't he?
That little finger's gone.
Brutal.
Gorgeous.
That's taking me back to school. Oi, Shepherd, fat fingers.
Yeah.
Put your clarinet down.
Yeah.
Hello there, welcome back. We've just been practising during the break, but...
And he really has.
He has.
He really
Look
practiced.
him go.
Wow.
I mean,
Again, let's go again. I mean, come on, guys. Wow.
I can't believe the recorder's dying out.
Do you want some cash? Should we to give you some...
Cashless.
All right, fine, yeah, OK.
Tom and Sayeeda
Tom and
are
Sayeeda
with
here.
us still.
We're talking about this. The reason we were playing it is for the
Go
break.
on.
And we'll cut straight to it. The recorder is dying out. We've all been tortured as parents and also as children in endless recorder classes.
Yeah.
But apparently, Tom, recorder is no longer the instrument of choice amongst the primary school.
I actually think this is probably more down to parents/teachers than it is the children themselves, because that sound is just, even when in the chubby fingers of a well-tuned player, it is still cuts through your soul like a hot knife through butter. It is I mean, that is like... Just end it, go to your room, I'm going to burn the thing. It is that, to be fair, the recorder is like the more acceptable cousin of the kazoo. Any kazoo in the hands of a child should be banned.
Sayeeda, did they all learn
No,
recorders?
listen, I had one of these at school and my daughter had one of these at school. But I was just saying during the break that actually an instrument that I grew up with and watching a lot of play was a bansuri, which effectively is like a recorder but sideways on. It's a flute almost. Like
Right.
And it produces the most beautiful music.
Can you? Please.
No, I cannot.
Oh,
And I
no,
cannot
go on,
play
Sayeeda, give
but
it a blast.
the point... Yeah, no, I cannot.
No, don't.
I won't do this. This is the career ending. But what I would say is that I just find it fascinating how, like that, it makes awful noises, but like that, the same thing,
Yes,
more or
just
less.
play it out the side even.
Yeah.
I think it's a gateway to one of those tiny little violins. That's like...
Well, learning any instrument is quite a painful process.
Yes.
Unless you have an incredibly gifted child who's willing to sit down, and there's going to be lots of mistakes along the way. It's just the tone of a recorder is shrill, isn't it?
There is a
unless it's
pitch.
played beautifully, and then it's fantastic.
Can you get you know, on trumpets you
Be
get
careful.
the thing?
Like a mute.
mute.
A mute.
You get can you do that on a recorder? I don't know. You
I'm
seem
not
to be the
sure
recorder
whether you
expert.
Or
can
plug in headphones.
Or just
in it.
yes,
It's
that's
like
exactly
a
what's
trumpet.
needed. You need an electric recorder where you can Bluetooth it. That's very good.
It's probably still the most accessible, though, in terms of cost. Because if you think about how many schools could actually afford to buy these and give them out to their kids, or at least kids could go out and potentially... Whereas actually with a violin or with piano...
Can you still go to the Early Learning Centre
Centre
and get a recorder? Do you remember the Early Learning Centre?
you could.
Only 1 in 6 children are now learning the recorder at school. New research, significant drop in popularity. It's been usurped by the ukulele, which is the little tiny 4-string guitar thing.
Yeah, that's much cooler, to be fair.
It's much cooler
That's
to be
much
able to
cooler,
play it around on a ukulele.
I just think normal wisdom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Clean the windows.
OK, let's talk fly tipping.
Oh,
Like,
let's
Subject
talk
close to Sayeeda.
flight.
Oh,
The
come
Baroness
on,
can go on this
Sayeeda.
one.
The
Come on,
Baroness,
Sayeeda.
take the floor.
You
Come
know,
on.
for me, litter and fly tipping, I am obsessed with.
Yes.
It actually impacts my kind of physical and mental health. I think the state of our country is disgusting. I think the way in which people abuse our country exactly.
Yeah.
And it has an impact on everything from the way you feel to the environment in which you live to, you know, the wildlife, plant, everything, animals. And I just think that we don't take this seriously enough. And if councils are going to, as proposed, and it's something that I've proposed for some time now, that there should be consequences. If you use your vehicle to throw litter out, you should get penalty points on your licence. If you want to learn about why you shouldn't be doing that, you should be able to take a litter awareness course, like you can with a speed awareness course.
Yep.
A litter awareness
you
course?
should
What's a
absolutely,
litter
if you
awareness
like
course?
a speed awareness course, when
Put
you
it in the
actually
bin.
do bad things.
Next.
Well, we need to do more than
Or
that.
understand the impact that
Yeah,
you're...
but the impact that you're having on communities, and if you use your vehicle for fly tipping, your vehicle should be taken off you and it should be crushed.
Well, as part of the announcement, the government has also proposed that fly tippers could face up to 5 years in prison, although this would require a change in the law.
Can I be massively cynical? And I agree with you that I think it's a disgrace and I think it's terrible. But every year, funny enough, close to an election, you hear governments saying, we're going to get really tough on fly tippers, we're going to crush their cars, we're going to send them to prison for 10 years, their children are going to be taken away from them, whatever. I heard a government minister on the programme on the TV this morning saying councils can send up drones to go and find... It's not going to happen. Nobody is going to go to prison for 5 years for fly tipping because who is going to enforce it? And I take your point. It's terrible you drive along, you see people chucking cigarette butts out car windows. Are the police meant to go and...
Yeah,
there
but
aren't any.
I completely accept that one of the reasons we have this level of, you know, kind of dirt and fly tipping in our country is because there isn't enough enforcement. And local authorities don't do it, and the police don't take it seriously, and lots of... And actually, people like to push this around and say, well, it's not our issue, it's highways' issue, it's local...
Yes.
They like to push this problem around.
Yeah.
But until we say this matters, this really matters, it goes to the very basis of whether or not we have pride in our nation. What is the kind of place we want to live in? And it starts with the environment that we're creating.
Totally agree. But people don't care about... I think some people just don't care about where they live.
Do you not think it might be a bit of a deterrent, maybe, Tom?
It's a brilliant deterrent in the same way that being arrested for shoplifting is a brilliant deterrent, but shoplifting has gone through the roof because, unfortunately, there isn't the resource there to deal with
Implementation
it.
of it's the tricky thing.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Sure.
Let's move on to marriages, but marriages without the intimacy. Friendship marriages, Kat Deely. Would you marry your best friend and have a sexless marriage? Apparently, it's becoming more common in Japan. It's being referred to, Tom, as friendship marriages.
Well, I think the starting point for a good marriage is that you're friends first, isn't it? Isn't that the basis on which you build your life together, that you actually quite get on? Otherwise, that would be a
Like
pretty,
each other.
You think the
bad way to
intimate
start.
part can develop after
The
that?
intimate part develops. And listen, after you've been married for a certain period of time, the initial flush of hot and heavy romance probably gives way...
Talk about yourself.
Well, OK, great, go for it. Do you know what? I think it comes back round the other way. Once you got through the early days of kids and they're screaming and stuff, and it's tiring and it's exhausting, I wonder whether there's a sort of sexual revolution once you've been married for a long time.
Oh, what, you mean like the empty nesters?
Absolutely, yeah. What else is there to do?
Tom.
Sorry, I just don't know what that refers to, and I'm out. Sorry, tap out.
The other question is really interesting, though. Do you want a marriage with great sex but no friendship? I mean, you know, because ultimately, I think Tom's right. If you don't have friendship and care and kindness and all of those bits, then you build a physical relationship on top of that. But actually, would you want to have a really great physical relationship, but actually no kindness and no care, no friendship?
But then wouldn't the physical relationship get boring?
I don't know, but...
I don't know.
Well,
I think it would if...
There's always the...
Right back at you, Deely.
You know... The recorder.
It's an interesting thing. So in Japan now, these are accounting for 1% of marriages, these friendship marriages. So clearly they are seeing the benefits of being in a marriage, having the legal benefits of being in a marriage, just without the sort of the bits that cause a mess.
You can see the advantages it brings. You live together, you know, you share a home, you can have...
Economically.
Economically. You've got, you know, there's issues around friendship, companionship, there's no issues of loneliness, people you can go on holiday with, all of those things. But you could do all of that with a friend without making it into a marriage.
Yeah.
I genuinely think that marriage is something quite special and quite sacred, and therefore it should be something that you see as a permanent relationship with all aspects to it, and intimacy, I think, is an element of it, is an important element of it.
Yep, true. Maybe had a boyfriend in there too.
Well, there you go. Sacred enough.
OK, the end of lads' holidays.
Did you go on a lads' holiday, Tom?
Talking of sacred...
Did I go on lads' holidays?
Tell me about your lads' holiday.
Well, this is Gen Z who are saying that they're giving up on lads' holidays. It's all very scary and terrifying for them, and they don't want to do it.
But they don't drink as much either. And
exactly. I do think in your 20s, possibly early 30s, these sort of endless weekends of stag do's, yeah, OK, it can be quite annoying and intimidating. You feel terrible all the time. Get that, sure. But I'm telling you now, guys, as you get older, the amount of time you get to spend with your guy, this is a real, genuine male issue, the amount of time you get to spend with your guy mates diminishes as you get older.
Exponentially.
Absolutely, as, you know, the responsibilities of life take over. Until the breath runs out of my body, I will always be excited about sitting on the train, heading off somewhere with my mates, and at 9:30 in the morning, the first crack of the tin goes. There is no way that is never not exciting.
Yeah.
The thrill of it, the lack of responsibility of it for just those few short hours. The world is yours to go and attain and achieve and be excited by. You only live once, you go and get it, and I love it. I love that.
Would you like to go on his
lads' holiday?
Yeah.
Yes.
Good,
Let's go now.
Yeah.
We're going now
Let's
let's go to Euston and go on a train.
I think it's an interesting form of escapism for men in later life. You know...
But it
Getting there.
was,
She rained on your parade.
It was for us post-school, post-A-levels, post-university, those moments, I think you're absolutely right. And by the way, my 18-year-old son has got about 4 or 5 lads' holidays booked post-A-levels.
Yeah.
So there's some area that aren't worried about this at all. They're embracing it
And there's
still.
an intensity to those lads' holidays that diminishes as you get a bit older because you can't really hack it till 3 o'clock in the morning every night.
69% of the millennials and Gen Z men, Sayeeda, say this kind of trip filled them with fear.
Yeah, and this was what I was saying to you. So, you know, at the gym, I speak to a lot of young men who are at the gym, and they will often say, oh, I've got another one of these holidays coming up, and I'm not looking forward to it. And when they come back from it, they've had a terrible time. And if I think about how my sons and my son-in-laws react to this, they're not particularly, you know, wanting to go off on lads' holidays. So I know this is a thing amongst younger men. But I think the point that you made is really important, right? Which is that probably women bond and form those friendships and stay in touch and meet up in a much more kind of informal way quite regularly, whereas men don't tend to do that. I know, you know, the men in my life won't just ring up their friends and go out with them in the way that I would do with my friends.
That's true.
So if the lads' holiday is the only way that they come together and they're forced to come together, then...
Forced?
You know, let it be.
Not forced. It's not that first long draft of an ice cold when everyone's in, the sun's out and everyone's in, it's a great thing. It's a glorious thing. And you shouldn't be embarrassed about it. I don't think people should be told.
I think there's something else as well, because
wonderful.
women are really good communicators. Men tend to be quite poor. But when you get back together and you haven't seen my university mates, not seen them for years, it's like we were just together yesterday. There's that connection straight away with all of them.
We do one event a year. Everyone puts in a bit of money. We vote for one of our friends to organise it in secret.
That's brilliant.
And then we all turn up. We've got no idea where we're going, and we all turn up and we head out somewhere. And
I want to come with you, Tom.
Honestly,
I'll bring the recorders.
I'm getting goosebumps now. I'm getting goosebumps now. I just can't wait. I can't wait
to see the holiday pictures.
No
pictures.
No pictures. No one talks about Fight Club.
Sayeeda, Tom, thank you both for joining us this morning. Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload tons of new content every single day. So hit the subscribe button, like all the videos, and don't miss out. We'll see you in the morning.